P6 Rational Expressions, Day 2. Your learning goal is that you will be able to multiply and divide rational expressions. Example 1, we're going to multiply or divide as indicated. So let's look at example 1A. The first thing you want to do is factor where the numerators or denominators, wherever you can. Do not multiply straight across because you're going to have a headache. So I'm going to put a note to factor, factor, and factor. So factoring my numerator, I'm going to do GCF and take out a 3. Factoring my denominator, I'm going to do GCF and take out a 3. And then my denominator, well, this numerator, you know you can't factor because it's already factored. And then the denominator, I'm going to do GCF and take out a 2. Now, once you get here, you want to make sure you look and make sure everything is factored correctly. And then what we're going to do is divide the common terms. So anything that you see in common, you want to go ahead and divide that. But what I tell students first, before you divide, find your restrictions. Because if you divide first, then you'll miss your restrictions. So here, x cannot equal 5. And for this restriction, if you set it equal to 0, it helps to find them. So you're going to subtract 3. So negative 3 halves would make your denominator 0. So we have to restrict x cannot equal negative 3 halves. Okay, once you do that, then you can divide the common factors. So when I mean divide common factors, it'll look like this. 2x plus 3 and 2x plus 3 divide to equal 1. X minus 5 and x minus 5 divide to equal 1. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. So your answer is 1/2, because that's what was left. 1 is left on the top, and only 2 left on the bottom, with the following restrictions. So that's your answer. So make sure you include your restrictions. Okay, dividing is a little different. When you start it off, you're going to do our process, which is called keep, change, flip. Or multiply by the reciprocal. I better write this out for students that may not know what REC stands for. Recip. Can't spell today. Reciprocal. Okay? So that means the first fraction you're going to keep like it is. The second fraction, first you're going to change this to multiplication. That's important. And then you're going to do the reciprocal or flip the second fraction. Once you do that, then it's just like a multiplication problem. But make sure you factor. I think everything can be factored here. So I'm just going to put factor. So let's do the numerator. I'm going to take out a GCF. They both have an x in common. Denominator, that's a difference of squares. The numerator, I have to find two numbers that multiply to give you 6, that add to give you 5. So that has to be 2 and 3. And then the denominator is difference of squares. Okay, before we divide, we're going to find our restrictions. Now, because we multiply by the reciprocal, we have to restrict both the top and the bottom here. But here you only have to do restrict these, so that'll be -2, 2. I'm going to restrict the top. This one will be -2, but I already have it. This one will be -3. We'll make it 0. Remember, restrictions mean values that would make your denominator 0. Here, that's a -1. This will be +1. So basically what you're doing is you're trying to find out what values of x will make your denominator 0. Those are what you have to restrict from your domain. All right, now we can divide common terms. X plus 1 and x plus 1 divide to equal 1. X plus 2 and x plus 2 divide to equal 1. And I think that's it. And then you just write your answer. X times x plus 3 over x minus 2, x minus 1. And just leave it in factor form with your restrictions. Okay, this last example has multiplication and division, so we're going to do the same thing. For the division, we're going to do keep, change, flip, or multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm just going to keep this one like it is. I keep this fraction. And then I'm going to change this to multiplication and flip my last fraction, or multiply by the reciprocal. And now I'm going to factor each term. Everything can be factored except for this one. So I'm going to factor the numerator, take out an x. That leaves me with x squared minus 25. Oh, and we can go further. So this will be x minus 5, x plus 5 over 4x squared times. I'm going to take out a 2, and that leaves x squared minus 1. This one can go further to 2, x plus 1, x minus 1. Then I do my denominator. I need two numbers that multiply to give you 5, that add to give you -6. So that'll be -1 and -5. The top, I'm going to take out a 7, which is the GCF. And the bottom, I'm going to take out an x, which is also the GCF. All right, before you divide, we're going to do our restrictions. X cannot equal. Okay, here, the only thing that x can't equal will be 0, because 0 squared times 4 is 0. So we don't want it to be 0. Here, we have 1 and 5, which will make it 0. These two, remember, we have to do restrictions for both, because we had to flip it. So on the top, x can't equal -1. Here, there are two x's, so we have to restrict both of them. X can't be 0, which we already have, and x can't be -5. And then you divide your common terms. Let's see, this x will divide with this x. X minus 5 divides with this x minus 5. X minus 1. X plus 5. 2 can divide into 4 twice. And I think that is it. So let's see what we have left on the top. On the top we have 7, and then x plus 1. We have 2 of those, so we're going to put squared over 2, and then x squared. So make sure you check that to see if everything was done correctly. And once you do that, that is your final answer with these restrictions.